Hello, Sudoku fans, and welcome to the New York Times Hard Sudoku puzzle. Today is the 30th of January, 2024, and for once, the New York Times is on time today with the puzzle. And let's have a look and see if we can spot a 3. By the way, this is a hard puzzle. Let's look at the 3s blocking across here and up here, giving us a 3 here, and that opens up the only square available for a 4 in this block here. This 4 blocks across, this 4 blocks down, and this 4 blocks up. So we have a 4 here. This 4 and this 4 block these 4 squares. Therefore, a 4 has got to go here. We have a 9 blocking here, and therefore a 9 must go here or here, blocking these squares. This 9 blocks these squares, so a 9 must go here in row 5. And here we are looking now for a 1, 2, and a 7. A 1 and a 2 block here, so here's a 7. And we're going to have a 7 here or here now. 1 and 2. Therefore, 5, 6, and an 8 here. I think that must wait a little while. This 5 blocks down here, so a 5 must go here or here blocking up. We now know that one of these must be a 5. The 1 blocks down, one of these is a 1. Therefore, a 1 must go here or here in column 5. And the 6 in the same column must go either here or here, because this 6 blocks here and this here blocks here. So a 4 and a 6 here block this way, and a 4 and a 6 here block this way. So these two squares must be a 4 and a 6. Therefore, a 4 in this box here must go here or here, and a 6 can go in any of these 3 squares. We need to find a 1, 5, 6, and an 8 for these squares. So there's a 1, 5, and an 8 blocking this square. It must be a 6. This 6 and this 6 block here, 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 and here. And this 6 also blocks this square, so here's a 6. 1, 5, and 8 here now. And I don't quite know what to do with that. I worked out that this must be a 3 or a 4. We need to find 2, 3, 4, 7, and 9 for this row. 2, 3, 4, 9 block here, so this must be a 7. And a 2, 3, 4, 9 here now. 3 and 4 block here. This is a 2 or a 9. This is a 3 or a 4 because a 2 and a 9 block up. So a 2 has got to go here or here. And the 9, I don't really know. Could go here, here, and here. But I think that we can safely say that this is an 8. And we can say this because we need an 8 and a 1 and a 5 for these 3 squares in column 3. This 5 blocks down here, therefore one of these is a 5 blocking up. So it's clear that one of these must be a 5. This 1 blocks here, so it is equally clear that the other digit here has got to be a 1. That leaves only one available square for the 8. It must go here. This 8 blocks across, this 8 blocks up. So we have an 8 here. I think we worked out earlier that one of these squares must be a 1. Now we know that the other one must be an 8. And that leaves only one square up here, and that must be a 5. We are slowly filling up the upper chute. We have a 1 here and here now blocking here, here, and here. So here's a 1. So a 1 and a 5 must join each other here. And that makes these not a 1 and a 5, but an 8, 7, and a 9. 8, 7, 9 here. And with this 7 blocking across and this 7 blocking down, this has got to be a 7. And one of these being an 8 and this 8 blocking down gives me an 8 here. Could we do anything with the 9? Well, the 9 blocks up here, and we already have a 9 here, so this can't be a 9. We got to have a 9 here or here. We also know that these are 1 and 5. Therefore, these must be a 2 and a 9. That leaves only one square to sort out, and that must be a 3. And we can sort out this one because these are 1 and 5. Therefore, this must be a 2. 3, 5, 7, 9 here. 7, 9. This is a 3, 5. Not sure. But the 7s. 7 blocks up, 7 blocks up, 7 blocks across, 7 here. Therefore, a 7 in one of these two squares. Now a 3, 5, and a 9 here. 3 blocks over, 3 up. A 3 could go in all of these 3 squares, so I think I'll have to wait a little bit with those. We still have our good old friends 1 and 2 here, and a 6, 5, 8 for these squares. Of course, the 8 now blocks over, so one of these is an 8, and this 8 blocks down. So here's where the 8 goes. And 5 and a 6 now for these squares. Can we do anything with those? 5 goes here or here. I don't think we can, not yet. But the rest of this puzzle doesn't look too intimidating now, does it? Remember how we said that 4 and a 6 block over here and a 4 and a 6 block down here, and these being a 4 and a 6. So we are looking now, and we now have a 4 and a 6 blocking this square. So we know that these two must be a 4 and a 6. So we've got the 4, 6, and probably the 1 and the 8 accounted for in this row. We are still looking for a 5 and a 9. 5 here or here. 9 here or here. Oh well. I'm sure we'll get around to them shortly. 1, 2, 5, 6 here. 1, 5. This is a 2, 6. This is a 5, 6. 2, 6. 1, 5. I'm not quite sure about all of this yet. But look here. We know that these are 4 and 6. And now that we found an 8, we shouldn't really neglect looking at the ramifications of that 8, because now this 8 blocks down here. We know that one of these is an 8. We also know that these two must be a 1 and an 8. Therefore, the 8 goes here, and the 1 must go here. And I think now we can solve these two, the 1 and the 2's here, because this 1 blocks across here. These are 6 and 4. Therefore, one of these must be a 1. Therefore, this can't be a 1. It must be a 2, and this must be a 1. Does that not sound plausible? We have a couple of 2's blocking here, here, and here, and we have this 2 blocking here and here. So here's a 2. Now we know that this can't be a 2. This must be a 2, and this must be a 9. Here now we are looking for a 7 and a 4. Therefore, these can't be 7, 4. They must be a 9 and a 3. Well, whichever is going to be the 9, we now know that none of these can be a 9, and this 9 blocks here. So here's a 9. And that will give us a 3 here or here, because one of these is a 3 blocking down. We have also this 3 blocking over. So yes, 3 here or here. Oh, and now that we found this 8, by the way, and we've had this 7 from the beginning, and we know that these must be 7, 8, 9. We now know that this is where the 9 goes, and these must be 7, 8. These are still 1, 5, remember? So now we do have a genuine 6, 4, and therefore 1, 5 pair here. And this is also a 1, 5. So this cannot be a 1, and it cannot be a 5. Let's wait a little bit, though, with a unique rectangle and see if we are going to need it. I have a feeling that it's not going to be necessary. Getting back to the unique rectangles for a moment, just to explain how you can go about sorting those. We know that these are 1 and 5, right? Now let's look at these squares here. These 2 squares are the only ones in this block that can be 1s, right? Because we have a 1 here or here. Now this 1 blocks across here. We got 2 1s blocking down here. So it's clear that these 2 squares are the only ones in column 9 that can be 1s. So the way that you go about sorting out the unique rectangle is, if you know that these must be 1 and these must be 1s, and you know that these must be 5, then you know that at least one of these cannot be a 5. And that is usually a good time to try to figure out where the 5 will go eventually. We are noticing a 5 blocking here, so it's clear that a 5 cannot go here or here. We need a 5 for the column here, so we know that one of these is going to be a 5. We just don't know which one yet. I'm thinking this one here, because the ones are pretty much tied down to these 4 squares. The only number in the 1, 5 constellation that we can play with is a 5. And I think it's going to go here, because it's the only one that is a variable here. This is just how I try to treat the unique rectangles. I just wanted to explain to you. And now let's see if we can continue with the puzzle. We need to find a 4 for column 7. This 4 blocks here, this 4 blocks here, and this 4 blocks here. So here's a 4. And we now automatically know that this must be a 6, because these have been 4 and 6 from the beginning. And since this 6 now blocks here, this must be a 5, and this must be a 6. This 5 blocks over here, making this a 1 square and this a 5 square. 1 blocks down here, 1 blocks over here, here's a 1. And here is a 6. This 6 blocks it down, and we know that these are 4 and 6s, therefore 4 goes here and a 6 here. This square, of course, can only be a 2, which blocks here and here. This 2 blocks here, so here's a 2. Here we're looking for a 5 in one of these squares. The 5 blocks down, so this is a 5. Now we know that this is a 1 and this is a 5. And as I predicted, none of these could be a 5. The 5 must go here now, because these 2 5s block these 2 squares. So here's a 5. This 1 blocks across here, therefore this must be a 1. Now it's a matter of figuring out what these are. One of them must be a 9, and since this 9 blocks here, the 9 goes up here. And this is a 3, which blocks this square, making this a 3 and this a 7. And that gives me an 8 here and a 7 here. Up here now, we need a 4. And since this 4 blocks up here and this 4 blocks here, this is another 4. This lonely square must be a 7. These are still a 3 and a 9. Remember, the 9 now blocks over, giving me a 3 and a 9, like so. Here we're looking for a 3 and a 5. The 5 blocks up, So here's a 3 and here's a 5. 8 and 9 for these squares, the 9 blocks down. Here's an 8 and here's a 9. And that's it. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.